Hello and welcome to Cuesta Sports Monthly, an in-depth look at Cuesta athletics. I'm Peter Schuler. On this month's show, we shall head on out to the Diamond where we'll meet with softball and baseball. We will also have a visit with Cuesta College President Superintendent Emeritus Dr. Gilbert H. Stork. Opening up right now with Cuesta Sports Monthly on softball, we are joined by infielders Farrah Gomes and Cline. Welcome Farrah, welcome Kat to Cuesta Sports Monthly. Year's kind of winding down to the end right now. Kat, this is your first year out at Cuesta College. How are you feeling about your first year here in college sports?
It's been a really good experience. It was a lot different than I expected. You know, I came out and we had 20 girls, and I wasn't expecting to play every inning of every single game, but I've enjoyed getting to know the other 8 players. It's been really nice.
Yeah, a lot of players at the beginning. This has been a tough year, kind of for injuries and stuff like that. Kat or Farrah, you're out with an injury.
Yeah, can speak on that.
But you've been one of the people. This is Coach Janelle Guadagno's second year. You've been on the program for 2 years. What are some of the changes you've seen with the program over the last 2 years?
Changes. Coaching style. Coach has definitely stepped up her game, which is cool. She's definitely been working a lot with us, and she's changed up our defense. We're a very defensive team, and I think that's our strong suit.
Now, what about for you? I mean, last year you were the team's Gold Glove fielder at second base and shortstop, wherever we wanted to put you. This year, you've kind of also stepped up your offensive game. What was your is that part of your mindset coming into this year?
Yeah, definitely a part of my mindset. My last year I wanted to make a statement, so I worked a lot in the beginning of the season on my hitting. So yeah.
All right. Well, now Kat, you've been at third base. Now you've been moved around in the infield a little bit so far. Where do you feel most comfortable?
Third base. But I also played first base on my club team, so when I get put over there, I feel confident. But then second base, I'm so lost. But I'll do anything for the team. Now,
what do you think the biggest changes for development-wise for you in this year has been?
Just being put in different positions and having to step up my game and figure out what to do wherever I'm put.
Now, Farrah, this is your second year of the team. You have only 2 sophomores. Megan Black, the other sophomore, only played about 13 games before she's been out with injury. Now, when you came in, did Coach talk to you about a little bit about having leadership? Is that kind of a role you've taken here? Or?
Yeah, she definitely told me in the beginning of the season we had a younger team, and I had to step up my game a little, and I think I had to lead the team in the beginning, but besides that, I think everyone stepped up and been doing it on their own.
All right. Now, how have you dealt with that a little bit? Because you have a prominent role. You've played every inning. Do you kind of step in there a little bit, and how do you think you'll progress as a leader for next year?
I think definitely as a first year at first, I was a little intimidated just having 2 sophomores, and I feel like just having 2, they kind of fill the role of being leaders. But then as the season progressed, I definitely noticed myself and a few other players having to step up and take on that role as our sophomores became injured and weren't there as much.
Now, what do you think are some of the challenges for you guys just as a smaller team and the way things have gone? You guys travel a lot this year. What were some of the challenges you guys faced as a team, you think?
Challenges was definitely injuries and small numbers, but we're so versatile that I think that was an advantage for us.
It gave everybody an opportunity to play somewhere out of their comfort zone and improve as a player.
Now, we've seen a lot of improvement this kind of in conference play right now. I mean, you guys were struggling early in the conference play. Now you've lost 2 one-run games. You've won 2 games, and so you guys are right on the verge of just. Do you feel if this season was like 10, 15 more games longer, you guys would really make a difference on that?
Yeah, I think we would have. I think we're coming along.
Yeah, the improvement's been really, really fun to watch out there on the field.
Yeah.
You can see, there's just kind of a lot cleaner game. That last game was a great game against Santa Barbara City, where you guys won in extra innings there. Or final at bat. I didn't get the extra innings, but final at bat. And you were a big part of that. You got in you drove in the tying run in that game. What does that kind of bring to you guys for kind of that when you can win in extra innings against a team that run ruled you the time before? What does that do to the team morale?
To our team or for them?
For your guys. Yeah, I don't know how it feels.
I think it definitely shows like what we're capable of and how good we could have done earlier on in the season, even though that one it was just a week before. But I think it shows that we can work together as a team, and that it's kind of a bummer that we weren't able to do that throughout the whole season, starting from the beginning.
Now, Farrah, you came here from Oakdale. Did you spend the first semester was at a different college before you came to Cuesta College?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you liked about Cuesta College that made you kind of come over here?
The weather, number one. But I reached out to Coach before, and she seemed like a great coach and could work with me, and that was one of the big reasons.
Now, what have you found at Cuesta College? What are your plans for next year, or what's going on from there?
I definitely am going to transfer, and I want to play next year. Still talking to some coaches and going to see where that goes.
See how that hand figures out and
Yeah,
gets the injury
exactly.
over. Now, Kat, you're a local kid. I got to watch you a little bit last year up in high school. But what are some of the things? I mean, coming to Cuesta College, you're a local kid, but a lot of your teammates are from outside the area. Did you find that make it easier for you, or is that just having a whole new group rather than the same group you might have played travel ball with?
It was definitely a struggle at first because I've played with the same group of girls since I was about 10 or 12. And so it was a different thing having to play with girls that I have no background information on. I don't know them. I don't know how they play. And I didn't know if somebody had the same position as me. But it's fun. I like it. And it gave me the opportunity to make new friendships with a lot of people from outside the area. Now,
For being from outside the area, what do you think is the best thing? Why should other people come to Cuesta College to play sports, play softball in particular?
We do play very competitive teams, and I think that we compete very well, and definitely competition down here is a lot better than it is up north.
And then you said earlier the weather too.
Yeah, the weather too.
Well, what do you think? What is the best thing about living in SLO?
Best thing about living in SLO? Everything. I don't have a complaint.
Now, coming from a local high school, you go out and go back to your old team and watch some of those players and kind of.
I'm actually headed over there after this to watch a couple of my old teammates their senior night tonight. But I do get to go up there quite a bit to watch them, and I tried going to their school too, or one of their practices, to try to recruit some girls. But
yeah, coach told me that she wasn't going to be able to be here today because she was out recruiting. Do you drag her along up there to the top?
I brought her to Templeton once, and it's unfortunately one of the girls is, not unfortunately, she's playing at Texas A&M next year, so we don't get to have her. But I don't know, it's definitely more of coaches' thing to go and recruit people, but it's nice to hear from people who are actually on the team that you can play on in college.
Okay, so we have 2 games left in the season. This Thursday, you guys go to Bakersfield, their first place in the conference. Do you guys have a different plan going in against them this time, or just go do the best you can?
Just do the best we can.
And then you end up the season with the last place team with the Oxnard, which will be sophomore day, and we'll be celebrating Farrah and Megan as they come out in their in their boots and their gloves. So as the season wraps up, what's the biggest takeaway you have for this year?
Definitely just how to work with what you have and continue through when punches are thrown at you.
All right. Now you've been here for the entire span of the Janelle Guadagno era. What do you think looking forward and with the program and what she's done? What do you think about Cuesta College softball?
I think next year is going to be a good year. She has really good recruits, so excited to see what she brings next year.
All right, that does it for softball here on Cuesta Sports Monthly. We'd like to thank Farrah Gomes and Kat Cline for joining us, and good luck to the Cougars the rest of the way as we hit into the final stretch of the 2019 campaign. Coming up next, we'll check in with baseball and see what's happening at the old ball yard with softball players Aidan, Nagle, and Braden, Gowdy.
This program is produced by Cuesta Broadcasting. Start your radio, TV, and film career at Cuesta College.
Cuesta.edu. Television, radio, broadcast, communications. Explore the world of digital communication and tap into your creative genius. Television, radio, broadcast, communications.
This is your boy, the DUI, and you're listening to kgur.org.
Your digital future is at Cuesta College right now. Log on to Cuesta.edu now for enrollment dates and class information.
Don't get the boom in the shot. Blown it, bro.
Cuesta.edu.
We're back on campus with Cuesta's Boys of Summer, or at least late spring. We welcome first baseman Aidan Nagle and pitcher Braden Gowdy to Cuesta Sports Monthly. Braden, Aidan, welcome to Cuesta Sports Monthly. Season's well on the way. We guys have the spring break tournament coming up with Cypress and Cerritos. Just want to see how you guys feel you're going right now. First place in the conference. How are you feeling about the season so far, Aidan?
I'm feeling pretty good. We kind of started out a little slow in league and then picked it up a good amount. And right now we're kind of starting to find our offense a little bit. So we're going good into playoffs.
Yeah, I have a lot of confidence for our team right now as well. You know, like he said, we didn't start off the best, but with the way we're going, our team morale is good, and we're feeling good about ourselves. So
yeah, one of the things I noticed was early in the conference play, you guys had a lot of one-run games that were very tight. When that offense opens up, you guys have been playing real well. Aidan, you're sidelined for a few games. Since you come back, what are some of did you make some corrections, or is it just something you did because you've been on fire since then?
Just sitting out kind of lets you look back at the game at a different angle, and you kind of see a lot of things that are going on. And so I kind of just tried to notice all those and then put them into my game, and it's worked out so far, I guess. So I'm just going to try to keep it going.
Now, Braden, you've taken another role kind of during the conference play too. You began the year kind of coming out of the bullpen. What are the changes for you? Was that a big change for you going right into the starting rotation, or?
Not really. I was a starter and a closer both in high school. Started a little bit last year before I went out with a concussion. And so this year, coming from the pen, I was comfortable closing, coming in at the toughest points in the game, and then only transition from a starter is you have to calm yourself a little bit because you got a little further to go, so you can't go out there and go 120%, but slow it down a little bit, take it pitch by pitch.
Now, what are some of the changes you've made from last year? This year, is it just natural growth of the game, where you've got had limited innings last year, but this year you've taken a huge role for the team? What are some of those changes that have come for you?
I actually set myself up with a nutrition plan, new exercise program as well. So that was definitely able to skyrocket my performance, and then just persistence and keep working at it. Little mechanics,
Now, is that something you just kind of decided this is a change I'm making, and we're going, and this is going to be this year?
Exactly.
All right. Now, Aidan, you didn't do anything last year. You didn't play, didn't get a hit the whole season long. But you made a big transition from going to catcher, redshirting last year, and now you're at first base. Talk a little bit about that transition from, going to catcher, taking that full year off, and then going to first base.
It wasn't that difficult. It was kind of difficult at first, actually. I struggled a little bit, but I eventually caught on because I played infield all in high school and then just caught my last year. And so it wasn't like completely foreign, but I mean, it took a little getting used to, but I think I've done it pretty smoothly so far. And I got a lot more work, but.
Now, how do you feel about the difference? I mean, the catcher, you have to be in on every pitch 100%. You're there, it's a little, I mean, you're at every pitch at the first base, but that's kind of the change of that responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, definitely catching, you got to be locked in completely, 100% every pitch. And at first, you kind of get a little break in between pitches. You just kick dirt, kind of look around. But I try to stay focused as much as possible, definitely.
Now, did you know you were going to make that transition during last year when you had the redshirt year, or was that?
No, not during the redshirt year last year, but over the summer, towards the end of summer and beginning of fall, it was kind of becoming more realistic, and I kind of just accepted it. I was fine with it. It was best for the team. So.
Now you were all conference as a freshman, but your numbers offensively have changed. Is that just part of growth? Is that just hard work, or is that do you think part of that is attributed to where you're not squatting 200 times a game?
No, it just.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, no, but it's just kind of, I was just kind of in my head a lot, and once I got out of my head and just kind of became confident with my abilities, then it was just smooth sailing from there, kind of, and just believe in myself, honestly.
Well, you're doing great,
Yeah.
and keep it up. So, I'm going to ask you this question just because it's kind of a nice little sidebar. But getting to work with the pitching coaches and coaches, and what's it like working with a two-time All-Star, having Ted out there and kind of working with him and Bob out there in the pitching staff?
Well, last year was definitely interesting because when I met him, I was like, should I ask this guy for an autograph, or are we going to talk? But I've settled in real well with him. He's real easy to talk to. He obviously knows what to do. He knows what he's talking about. Dude's a hard worker, a competitor, and it kind of rubs off on the guys. And same with Bob. So, helps the staff a lot.
So is it just kind of work with your kind of mental game, or is it just all physical?
All around. I would
Okay.
say the whole spectrum. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's good with it all.
All right,
You
so
gotta be.
that's a great opportunity to have right
Yep,
there.
exactly.
You guys are a couple of sophomores. This is basically a pretty sophomore team.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with leadership type things with the team? I mean, is there something you have with a group of pitchers where you have a bunch of sophomores working together, or in the field, or is it just everybody kind of owns everything out there? It's kind of,
I think it's just
who runs the clubhouse? Who gets to pick the music? That kind of stuff.
it's kind of a democracy
it's
to
a
where
democracy.
there isn't one specific person, but there's a specific group of guys for sure that have a standard that they want met and know that the team can meet the standard, and they do try to push the team to meet that standard, and it's based of all sophomore guys, yeah, but everybody's held to the same standard for sure.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to accomplish the same thing, so.
Yeah, a few groups
Same
of
thing.
sophomores. Yep, just kind of, but it's all together. It's all one unit.
Okay, well, let's just move on beyond this year for talk a little bit about next year. What are your plans for next year, and you're coming to your sophomore year. Do you have plans going on for the next keep playing? And now that especially since both of you guys have adjusted your games, where you've changed your whole outlook on pitching with your health and all that stuff, and you've changed positions. What are you guys looking for next year?
I just want to go play somewhere. Honestly, if I could just play somewhere, it'd be great. I'd like to go to a good program, a winning program for sure. But as of right now, I'm just kind of unsure, just letting things play out, and then whatever happens, happens. And
Yeah, exactly. Talking to a few coaches right now, and just gonna wait till the season's over, focus on the task at hand right now, and then once the season's over, evaluate all my options and go from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely playing baseball next year.
All right, that's great. You guys definitely should be building on this
Yep.
year.
Yep.
Let's talk about getting into baseball. I know you're good in basketball. You like to play basketball. What was the thing? We talked about a little bit before the show. Everybody likes to play baseball. Little kids. What was the thing that really pushed you and made baseball your sport? You think? What's the thing you love
I was
most
good
about
at
the
it.
game?
I was good at it, and it's just a way to compete. It's different than everything else. You got to think a lot with it, and it really tests the kind of person you are. And
Now you went to a kind of a small school, smaller area, but you also got to play high school ball with a guy who eventually won the Golden Spikes as the best collegiate player in the country. So was that were you able to watch him? Did that make a difference, or is that?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't go to school with him for the first 3, and then transferred there for my last one.
Okay.
So getting there that last year, yeah, definitely. He brought a maturity to the field that I hadn't experienced yet in high school. And it was just different for sure, but good leader, good teammate, yeah.
How about you, Braden? What was the thing that you knew that you wanted to be a pitcher?
Well, When I was growing up, I played all sports: soccer, basketball, football, baseball, and baseball stood out to me. My dad was a huge baseball fan, and then as Nags touched on, there's a huge factor of mental toughness to baseball that other sports just don't have, and I thrive on my mental toughness. So I took baseball, I started playing that, and then my high school coaches really just kept me going, so just fed off of that.
Well, good luck to you, both of you guys, the rest of the way. We'd like to thank Aidan, Nagle, and Braden Gowdy for joining us here on Cuesta Sports Monthly, and as they make a push for another postseason berth. When we come back, we'll be joined by Cuesta President Emeritus and Superintendent Gilbert H. Stork. Cuesta Sports Monthly returns.
Cuesta.edu. Television, radio, broadcast, communications. Explore the world of digital communication and tap into your creative genius. Television, radio, broadcast, communications.
This is your boy, the DUI, and you're listening to KGUR.org.
Your digital future is at Cuesta College right now. Log on to Cuesta.edu now for enrollment dates and class information.
Hey, don't get the boom in the shot. Blown it, bro.
Cuesta.edu.
This program is produced by Cuesta Broadcasting. Start your radio, TV, and film career at Cuesta College.
Welcome back to Cuesta Sports Monthly. I'm Peter Schuler, and I am joined by a local legend, Cuesta College's longest serving employee, Dr. Gil Stork. Gil, welcome to Cuesta Sports Monthly. Very glad to have you on here after all these years. So how has the retirement been? This is your first full school year of retirement away from Cuesta College. How are you doing in this year?
I'm enjoying it immensely. You know, having the opportunity to do the things I want to do and not what I have to do has been exciting. Plus, spending a lot more time with my 10 grandchildren, which has been really a great reward.
Now, early money was that you were never going to retire from Cuesta College, but so I'm glad that you had that opportunity to get to spend more time with the grandkids and everything like that. Are there days when you get up and you start getting dressed and start putting on the tie and everything like that? How has that transition been for you? Have you been able to sleep in and do those things?
Well, no, we don't sleep in. My wife and I get up at 5:30 and go to the gym every morning, so that starts our routine. But and I'm president of my Rotary Club, so I do put a tie on Mondays. Yeah, and that helps me know what day of the week it is. So.
Yeah, I heard it's supposed to be just when the big paper shows up. That's when you know it's a Sunday. And then you go from there. Yeah. You know, there's so many things you've done here at Cuesta College, so many positions you've held. When you think back, what do you want people to remember about when they look up at the Gil Stork Gymnasium, which is now named after you? What do you want that legacy to be?
Well, hopefully.
We can talk legacy a little bit.
Yeah. Well, legacy is a really important word in my vocabulary, and every employee that I hired, I always want to think about what legacy they were going to create and leave at Cuesta College, and so for me, the by far the promised scholarship that we were able to put into place, especially adding the second year, to me that resonates so well because it impacts every single family in San Luis County who have children that desire to go to college.
I love to hear the students tell me how they're all on scholarship now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you know, I couldn't think of a greater gift to families that create opportunities. You know, and so yeah, I mean, I've had the good fortune of being able to do a lot of things, but by far that was kind of the last item on the bucket list that I really feel very proud of.
Well, I definitely making a huge impact. I know that every day. I hear about it all the time from the students, and it's really been a magnificent thing for you know, coaches too. To have that's a great recruiting troop bit for the coaches. But you know, here's the question. I'm in my 25th year here at Cuesta College. You've hired me twice. Still in my 40s, so I may catch you. But what was the thing? When was the day that you knew that you were a Cuesta College lifer? If I could use it.
I think probably when I became vice president. You know, I had spent time as a faculty member, as a football coach, a math teacher, and I transitioned into administration in the late 70s. And then in 1990, I had the good fortune of taking on a new position that had just been created, and I was the Vice President of Student Services. And at that level, I suddenly realized that I had the opportunity to impact the experience of every student who walked in the door. And to me, that was really a powerful kind of feeling that I could change their experience, which also said that if I ever became a president, I could impact the experience of every student, of every employee within our jurisdiction. And so that was became kind of the next level of looking at the opportunities. And of course, you know, I tried to be president in '99 and didn't get the job, you know. But what I learned in that process was that I just didn't want to be a president. Because if I did, I would have looked for other opportunities and moved around and played the game of seeking out the best fit. What I learned was I really wanted to be the president of Cuesta College. And at that point, I resigned myself to the fact that the opportunity came and it went, and so I have to be okay with that. And so that's why I did retire in 2004, the first time, you know, thinking that, okay, you know, now I'll just go off into the sunset, teach math for a while, but as you know, I kept getting drawn back in to do interim jobs, and then the ultimate opportunity came in 2010. And you know, I believe that everything happens for a reason, and even though things were chaotic at that particular time, it was a perfect time for me to be able to really have the opportunity to make a huge difference in the health of this institution.
And when you think about it, it's 50 some odd years on, we've only had 7 people in that position. It's a very elite group right there. But one of the things you talk about making the impact for the students, one of the things that you kind of never really got away from was teaching individual students. Yeah. So how come, why was that? I mean, you have that greater impact, but you really wanted to have that connection with individual students by continuing to teach a little bit on the side, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, when I was a faculty member, I used to kind of criticize administrators, say, well, they went to the dark side, you know, and so they've been away. They really don't know what happens in a classroom. They don't know who our students are. So when I became a dean in 1980 of science and mathematics, I asked Dr. Martinez at the time. I said, would you mind if I taught a class, because I don't want to lose the impact with the students. Connection. And the other thing is, I didn't want to be that administrator that I used to complain about, you know, and because the big part of a dean is evaluating faculty, and I never wanted my faculty to say, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about because he's never been in the classroom.
Did you have to be evaluated as a dean and a faculty member at the same time?
That's right,
too?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then when I moved into student services, it was even more important because I didn't want to lose the credibility with faculty, you know, and yet it allowed me a great alpha group to talk to students about what their experience was like coming to Cuesta College, what it was like to register, what counseling was like, and it was kind of my little group of informers, you know. So it gave me some great feedback.
Now, you were an athlete at Cal Poly. It's a long whole story. I mean, we all know the trials that you've went through to get as a football player there and some of the difficulties you have. But how has athletics informed your life, not only as a faculty member, as the leadership things? What are the qualities you got as a football player that you've translated into other parts of your life?
Well, it's no mystery to me why my name is on the gymnasium. I mean, some people say, what? How'd that happen? Because when I was growing up, you know, I grew up in a single mom home. And so I soon became really influenced a great deal by my coaches, whether it be a Little League baseball coach and then into high school. And going to college was really because of the encouragement that I got from my coaches. You know, I was a good student and I was a good athlete, so college became the next step. But we didn't know how to do college, you know, in my family, because nobody had ever gone to college. So that was really an important beginning of really the importance of the athletics, and why I was driven to go into teaching and coaching, because I wanted to have that ability and opportunity to impact, you know, kids' lives, you know. So it kind of grew from there. And then when Cuesta opened, I was teaching at San Luis High School, and Cuesta opened, and suddenly there was an opportunity to come here and coach football out in the barracks and the cows and so on. It just seemed like the right thing to do.
Like barracks and the
not
cows.
Knowing, not having any clue of where I was going to go, you know, what this job was really going to mean. And I just have to think back of all the people who had a part of that, you know, the influencers, the coaches I coached with, the presidents I worked for. It all came to a point where I was always involved in some form or fashion of athletics.
Well, Gil, I'd love to have you here for another segment, but this is only a 3-segment show. Thank you very much for joining us here on Cuesta Sports Monthly. That does it for Cuesta Sports Monthly. I'd like to thank our guests, Farrah Gomes, Cline, Braden, Gowdy, Aidan, Nagle, and of course, Dr. Gil Stork. And thank you very much for joining us here on campus, and we hope you join us next year for the 10th season of Cuesta Sports Monthly. Remember to stay up to date on your Cuesta College athletics. Check the Cuesta Athletic website for information on all our Cuesta teams. This show is produced at Cuesta College by Cuesta College Film, Television, and Electronic Media Department as part of the Cuesta TV project. Check out all Channel 2 or find us on YouTube at Cuesta HDTV all year long for this show as well as other ongoing Cuesta broadcasts. For all of us here at Cuesta College, I'm Peter Schuler. Thank you for your support of Cuesta College Athletics.